What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is the weekend edition of Rawstocks. It's Rustik here, and we're going to be taking a look at a couple different tickers. As we head into Monday, we're going to be looking at Tesla, we're going to look at Nvidia, we're going to look at QQQ, and we're going to look at SPY. If there's any other tickers that you guys are ever interested in me making a video on, certainly drop those in the chat. Would be happy to cover them in future sessions. Maybe we'll even take a look at AMD if we get time here at the end of the video. I know that's been one that's been requested in the Discord a couple different times, so we'll see if we can get to it as well. Before we get started, don't forget to check out the link in the description below to rawstocksllc.com. Can take you to the website where you can find more information on how to join the Rawstocks trading Discord as a free member and how to upgrade to premium to get access to the callouts and some of the other features that are included in the premium membership. We also have a trial code on the website, so don't forget to go check it out. Let's jump into the chart. We got Tesla's chart pulled up. We got Tesla monthly chart pulled up. We're still in the current month of June. We have about a week left, so pretty much 1 week of trading left. And what we want to notice on the weekly chart, right? If we look, we got our sell side liquidity down here at 137 on a previous test of the 100 EMA on the monthly chart. And we're just consolidating over the last 2 months, even the last 3 months. Back in April, we saw some bigger wicks. Here in May and now in June, we're seeing smaller wicks pushing down, continuing to kind of test that, that sell side liquidity, or on a lower time frame, we have that ascending triangle and that ascending support level, right? So we've tested those levels here, and we're pushing up. We've also tested the previous month high, and we haven't held above, but we're in a green month so far. Okay, and as we drop down into some of the lower time frames, we'll see where these support levels and resistance levels come in. But just on a monthly chart, we are below the 20 and 50. We're above the 100. Okay, so what we want to see in a bull case scenario, right, which right now we're just consolidating, so it's not necessarily a bull or a bear case scenario. It's more or less neutralized. You can see on the monthly chart too, we're, kind of below the 50 on the RSI. We're flattened out. We're below the control moving average, right? So we're just mostly neutralized here. But the most recent test has been the run on sell side and that 100 period moving average, which we saw a strong rejection from, right? Ended April green, ended May just slightly red, and now in June we're green again. So what we need to see is we need to see that push back up above the 196, potentially up to the 210 area, right, to get above that 50 period. Ultimately see if we can get above that 20 period on the monthly chart. Now, if we can't get above those, we're going to recycle back down. We're going to most likely test that 150 area where that 100 period is again, right? See if we can find support there, push us back higher after that. Things you want to have on your chart, even though it's far away. This is the most recent buy side liquidities, right? Going to be found in these up close candle wick highs, 265, 298, 74. It's going to be our most relative buy side liquidity. And then again, we got our sell side liquidity at 138 and then at 101.78. Not expecting us to get back down there. If we drop into the weekly chart on Tesla, again, we got some moving averages that are right around the same areas we were just talking about, right? We got the 100 period at 210. We got the, descending 50 period right around 200. We got the 200 period at 196 and some change, right? And then we closed right at the weekly 20 period. So that's a pretty good sign. I mean, we didn't get above it, but we did close right at it. So if we can see this week push up, which we do have RSI in our favor, it's starting to curl back up. It's just right under the 50. It's above the moving average on the RSI, right? So we could see this start to push up a little bit, get above that 20 period and make another run back towards that 200 level. Now, I do think, again, based on this chart, what we'll see is we'll see a push up, whether that's this week or maybe early in July, because July, you know, will be a new month, so that'll be a new month candle. But I think we're going to see that push up right around that you know, 200 period on the weekly, or even the 50 period on the weekly, right? Somewhere around there, find one more rejection, drop back down, and then maybe try to push up on some additional higher moving averages, making that 200 period the support level instead of resistance, right? Pop over it, maybe come back down and test it, then maybe come in and run a test on some of these higher 200 or these lower 200 area levels. Okay, now if we reject that, and that's all she wrote, right? We hit that 50 period or that 200 period, find rejection, right? Come back down, and we don't find support again on this 20 period, then we're going to drop down further, and we may run a test on that one, on those high 160s, or even further down where there's a different time frame. I think it's a daily chart, fair value gap here, 158, right? Maybe even lower after that, depending on, you know, what's going on in Tesla news and other stuff in the market, right? But good sign that we pushed right up to that 20 period on the weekly chart. Now, if we go to the daily chart also shows, although we're stuck between some moving averages, we're showing some strength, right? We're above the moving average on the RSI. We're above the 50. We've started to point back up, right? Because we saw us kind of get back above that moving average and hold support twice, or, you know, now 2 times. And we've started to build some structure on the RSI as we see these moves up, right? So given where we are on the RSI, given where we are with the moving averages, right? And then just the structure, we had a bullish change of character over here. Now we're dropping back down just to correct a little bit, right? But we're above the 20 and the 50 here on the daily chart. Now we did push up and reject the 100 period, you know, which is no surprise that we then pushed down a little bit as well on the daily chart last week on Friday. But we're still above the 20 and 50. So if we can hold above that, even if Monday comes, right, and we open somewhere around where we closed, even if we pushed down on Monday or possibly Tuesday, ran a test of the 20 and 50 on the daily chart, we could see a bounce there. And so that could look something like this, right? Just a drop to retest that you know, liquidity from the previous day low, right? And then push up and see if we can attack above the high 180s, maybe even into the, you know, low 190s from the buy side liquidity here. We'll go ahead and mark this level off, 191.12 from the high of June 13th. And that's going to be our buy side liquidity that we're going to look to deliver on. And then at that point in time, we've broken out of the descending resistance of this more aggressive triangle. Now we do have a less aggressive resistance line as well, right? Up where the 200 period on the daily is still descending. But we start to see the 100 period flattening out. That's a good sign. If we can get the 20 and 50 to push us up over that 100 period, right, then we can make a run on that 196.81, or, you know, maybe it'll be lower, 194 at that point in time, depending on how many days it takes to get there for this 200 period to flatten out. Now, if we can push up on that 200 period quick, we can get that to start to flatten out immediately, and there's more of a chance that we're going to get over it and not get rejected by it. But you can see it's starting to line up with this this resistance downtrend as well. So, you know, likely that when we get to that point, wherever it is, we will find some kind of rejection, right? So we can continue to play longs, especially once we get over this 100 period, up to that 194 to 196 range, right? And then expect a reaction at that point. That's where I'll, you know, most likely be unloading some long-term positions when we run that test, if we run that test, and then look for a recoil and then a break above. And when we, you know, correct or recoil back down, that'll be a good spot to, you know, potentially enter some more long positions, longer dated calls, or shares if you're looking to, you know, kind of swing trade shares. Now we'll jump over to Nvidia. Take a look at the same charts. We'll look at the monthly chart on Nvidia. Just take a look here. We got some fib levels up there. But you can see monthly chart, we've just been blowing out with Nvidia. We did see a pretty hard rejection or correction, however you want to look at it, depending on the time frame. But we did see a pretty strong move at the end of last week after that middle of the week holiday. But you can also see here on the monthly chart, like we've just been, having these nice moves up. Only a couple months in 2023, then 1 month, April this year of 2024, where we had green candles or red candles. But you can see like we're pretty far blown off the 20 period, right, all the way with the bullish lineup of the 20, 50, 100, 200. And so it would be likely that we could either see a little bit more correction or just some consolidation as some of these moving averages move up and catch up on the monthly time frame. If we go to the weekly chart was a red doji week last week. See inside candle, you can see, RSI looks like some divergence set up between these highs on the weekly chart, right? And if we were to correct here on this chart, if we were to correct, we could look for a move down all the way as low as 100, let's see, 106 and some change, down to 196, right? Likely we'd find support in the 100 and 174 area, right? And we'll see on the weekly chart, this 20 period start to push up, and that'd be if we drop down over the next couple weeks into that fair value gap, right? Where then we could find some support and then continue to rally higher. Now that may not happen all at once. We could see a slight push up, then some more down, as we walked down over the next couple months. Or it could be aggressive just because of the selling from last week that we just see this thing dump straight down, right? Kind of liquidate all the long positions and then start to build the liquidity back up down here and then push up from there. So we'll just have to see. You can see since, all the way back, basically on the weekly chart, all the way back to the beginning of 2023, every little correction or sideways move has only been to run a test of the 20 period. So as we've built this momentum sideways a lot of 2023, right? And we just into 2024, we started to see that nice, big rally, small correction back to the 20 period, right? Now this kind of blow off rally. Now a correction back to the 20 period is definitely not off the table. It's more just how long is it going to take? Now, if we go to the daily chart looks a little worse. You can see we hit that 6 standard deviation, which was an area we were looking for back on June 12th. Had that as a target. Sure enough, over only the course of 1, 2, 3, 4 trading days, we hit that target, right? We exceeded it a little bit, and then we sold down deep and then sold off again into Friday. This is a doji kind of spinning top look candle, candle of indecision. You can see on the daily chart, again, we're kind of dropping down to test that 20 period. Might find support on that 20 period to push back up and just give us a minor correction, right? It would look something like this. Maybe we set a lower high, right? And then we start to see ourselves either chop, right? And then drop as these, moving averages catch up. Or potentially, we just see a very aggressive move, right? Pop back up, run a test on this breakdown candle, and then immediately just sharply drop down to this, again, that area we were talking about on like the higher time frames as well. But just dropping down into this like $110 to $100 price range. Also in line with some fib levels. But you can see we have our different standard deviations. So, we could see rejection down here at 120, right, to pop us back up if it's going to follow those same standard deviations, right? And then this drop could be anywhere from that 110 down to 101.90, right? Again, in between two standard deviations. You could also look at the half marks too, like the 2.5 or the 3.5 standard deviations, if you want to do that with your fib levels. But either way, we'll be watching to see if we get that sharp drop or if we pop up first, right? If we pop up first, not necessarily looking for us to take a new high. We'll jump over to QQQ. Take a look at the weekly chart on QQQ, also hitting its standard deviation mark. There's our 2 standard deviations, right? QQQ looks a little bit better, even though we've set up some kind of divergence here. It does look like it could make that push to 495.18. Right, so just depends, partly depends on how Nvidia is doing, maybe how Tesla's doing, other stock or other tech stocks are doing, but looking for that push up to 495.18. And right now we're flattening out on the RSI, so we might see a little bit drawback, a little bit more drawdown, early next week, or even just a red week, but then looking for price to kind of bounce back up and make a run at that 495.18. We'll look at the daily chart on QQQ. Again, there's the example. We were looking for this hit back in the beginning of June, right? We made that push up. We hit the 2 standard deviations. We hit the 2.5 standard deviations, which is going to be right in here. Haven't made that push yet to the 3 standard deviations. So on this chart, would be looking for price to, make this push down to hit that, 20 period, then pop back up, run the stop, steal the liquidity, pop back up to that 495, and then at that point in time, we might see a bigger correction down to like the 50 or the 100 period moving average on the daily chart. The last thing we'll do is we'll jump over to SPY. We'll take a look at the weekly chart on SPY. Similarly, hit our 2 standard deviations, hasn't pushed up to our 3 standard deviations at 561.41. RSI on SPY, is toppy. It's a little bit different than QQQ's. And so you can see here, we are, at this point in time, setting up some RSI divergence. Now, if this continues to push, we might see RSI push even higher. At that point, no divergence, and we could see that run to 561.41. If we were to correct right here, what that would look like on the weekly time frame is that would look like us, pushing down, right? Something like that, running a test on the 20 period as it creeps up on the weekly chart. But you can also see we're pretty far away from our other moving averages, right? Our 50, our 100, our 200. And the last time we did correct, we correct to 100, right? So we'll see if this ends up being a deeper correction or if it just pops down to run a test on the 20 period. Now, nothing says this has to correct at all. We could just push up to that 3 standard deviations. As you can see on SPY, it's been very strong over here. Weeks of green, right? Couple weeks down, 4 weeks of green, a doji, a hammer, two very consolidation type candles, not big movements, and then more green, like 3 weeks of green. So we'll see if this candle ends up being a topping candle. Kind of has that gravestone-ish doji, it's or inverted hammer, however you want to look at it. We pushed up, we didn't have a long wick down, we closed green, but it still gave us that kind of hammer, inverted hammer look, or that that candle body being rejected from that high of the week. So we'll see if we push up to that 461 or not, but that's what I'm looking for, is 461 to the upside. Downside, I'm looking for maybe 515 to 510, and not necessarily all next week, whether we push up or not. We take a look at the daily chart of SPY. Daily chart of SPY, again, shows we had the Thursday rejection after the holiday. We had the doji on Friday, candle of indecision. If we are to drop down on the daily chart, we'll be looking to first run a test of the 20 period, see if that holds, pop back up, maybe even come here to this range here between the candle body close and the wick high, something like that. Maybe we could look for a retracement of 62 to 70.5%, right? And then a minor correction could be just back down to test the 50 period as that continues to rise into the week. Right? A further test would be of the 100 period if we were to, sell off kind of over multiple days or even into the following week. So nothing has been decided yet. We're just in a 2-day correction. And so we'll be watching to see, does the market start to sell down? RSI doesn't give us a whole lot because we're right at the moving average, and we could find support on that, push up higher, right? And even make that run on that 561.41. Last thing I'll look at is we will look at AMD, because I know a lot of people have been asking about AMD. And here's what I got on AMD as far as like the high time frame analysis goes. Okay, this is a breaker block we've been watching. This breaker block here shows itself on the weekly, I think on the daily, but it's basically from this move up back to this move down. Right? This range is the range I'd like to be buying in. You can see the week of March 4th, we set the high, we've come back down. We got on a weekly time frame, we got a 20 period curling down. And although last week was a decent week for AMD, we have it curling down. So I'd like to see that come back down through the 50, run out the sell side liquidity here at 141.35, and then look to enter long down here in the 132 all the way down to 109.58. And I know that's a pretty big gap, so we'll say consequent encroachment 120.87 would be a good buy zone in my opinion. Now if we look at the daily chart too, daily chart, see that breaker block, same one here, right? Same range I'm looking at from this high, right? And so again, daily chart doesn't look amazing. We're kind of teetering around this 20, 50 and 100 period moving average, right? We popped below it, we popped above it, we popped below it, we closed right around on it. Now we have run a test of the 100 period, 100 or 200 period, 200 periods flattening out. What I would like to see in order to get the buy that we really would like to see is I would like to see price come down below the 200 period, run out the liquidity, and then down into this breaker block consequent encroachment. At that point in time, I'd be looking to see if price could get back up above the moving averages and then make a run on, you know, the previous high of 227 and some change. But we'll have to see if AMD can pull that off. But right now, just looking for it to come back down into those 120 areas where I think it'd be a good opportunity to take a long position. That's what I got for you guys today. Hopefully it's been helpful. Thanks for the support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. We're really trying to grow the channel and grow the community over on the Discord. Again, do me a favor. Stop by rawstocksllc.com. Check out the Discord if you aren't already a member. Free to join. Low cost premium for $25 a month. Right? And there's even a promo code on the website. So go ahead and check it out. Do us a favor and then drop some comments if there's any tickers that you guys would like me to cover in future videos. Take care and you have a good weekend. We'll see you in the trading rooms tomorrow.